I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. My name's Josh Lackey. Today we'll be discussing one of the most influential and well-known human rights activists of the 20th century, Martin Luther King Jr. April the 4th marks the 50th anniversary of his untimely assassination in Memphis, Tennessee. With the rise of populist groups and social media campaigns such as Black Lives Matter, we're asking, what is King's legacy today? King was active throughout the 1950s and 60s and famously led the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott and the March on Washington in 1963, where he delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech, which preceded the show. King advocated non-violent and civil disobedience tactics in his struggle for equality. We're asking whether in this media-saturated 21st century these tactics have lost their importance. With me is American history professor at the University of Lincoln, Dr. Thomas Bishop. Thomas, where do you see King's legacy today?
Some questions I think are going to come next year about whether the tactics that Martin Luther King was advocating for, this kind of stress on non-violence, on direct action, but also an action that is based on a very kind of passive image of activists, whether that's still going to hold water today or not. And I think a lot of people will find that whereas people like Martin Luther King, while he's a monumental figure in American kind of culture, whether that still holds the same cultural weight as people kind of returning maybe to the ideas of Malcolm X.
There is clearly some debate about whether King's tactics of peaceful protests and demonstration have longevity in today's world of Trump and popularism, or whether a more direct, confrontational protests, like that used by Malcolm X, is more impactful on today's world. Closer to home, King's legacy is being marked in the UK by a national service at Westminster Abbey to mark the 50th anniversary of his death. Organised by Christian Aid, the service aims to rediscover justice and celebrate King's motivation, conviction and actions that characterised his life. Head of Christian Aid in England, Mark Sturge, hopes the service will be an opportunity to not only remember Dr. King's life and work, but also to rediscover those issues such as justice, which remains unfulfilled in our world. We will end the show today with Martin Luther King's own words at the March of Washington. In it, he calls for togetherness of all races in pursuit of equality. This has been Viewpoint. Join us again next week where we will be discussing another aspect of human rights.
When we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty.